Perfect.
Well, here we are, Monday night live at 5:30.
At 5:30 in 2020.
In 2020.
Oh my goodness.
Super crazy cool.
I just can't even with how excited I am for this next year.
This is going to be an amazing year, and so many people are talking about it. And I can't tell you how excited I am. We already are starting off with a bang.
Yes.
You had a wonderful, and I got a lot of feedback. I had people stopping me today at the gym talking about the success.
I love you, everyone that's stopping teen, telling them how awesome my teen workshop is.
At your teen workshop this weekend. How did it go?
It was so fun. So it's called Teen Leadership, and that is the point of the workshop, is to grow the next generation, help them get their confidence and get on their life path and all those super fun things. Had coping skills. We had a lot of cool teens come in, and we went over how to set goals, how to make a vision board. You know, it's a new year, kind of getting in all of that really first of the year startup energy.
Yes.
So we had a great time.
It was awesome.
I did challenge each one of them to bring a friend for next month, because this workshop series is monthly and it's free.
It's free.
If you're here in Southern Utah, drop your teens off with me on a Saturday, and they're going to learn some cool skills, and then you're going to pick them back up, because I don't want to keep them. But
from 10 to 12.
10 to 12. And our February topic is going to be about communication and relationships, since it's February. And what teen doesn't need to learn how to communicate, Dean?
Well, pretty much all of them.
All of them, right?
Yeah, all of them. I know I sure could have used some help
Absolutely.
as a teenager learning to communicate.
I think we all need help on that one too, but especially teens.
Yeah. Well, hello, Moira. Hello, good evening to you and all of you tuning in. So wonderful. It was wonderful feedback for yours. Again, I forgot to introduce. I'm Dean Nixon, Kate Semmens.
Hi, guys.
In case we haven't introduced ourselves to you. But yeah, so 2020 starting off with a really good energy. And just a quick reminder before we jump into tonight's topic about the Goals and Intentions workshop this weekend. It's going to be the 10th. We're going to be in the evening because you have homework. You're going to be heading home with some homework, and then you come back on Saturday the 11th and finish it up. And it's going to be all about how to really set my goals and my intentions in alignment with who I am.
Yes, I love that.
And how, we get so bogged down with New Year's resolutions, all of these things that to the point where people give up. But this is going to be really about being able to manifest and create the life you want to create based upon who you are, without creating any reactionary type of issues, and really creating some clarity. And then also some really cool things. We're going to set up some really cool things that you're going to do that you will continue on, that will include meditation and mindfulness work, and some really cool things that you're going to do. So
Dean, let me ask you a real quick question, because we did this one last year, right? And I know you've been working hard on it again for this year.
Yep.
I imagine there's going to be some similar content from last year, because that's the foundation stones, right?
There will be some foundations.
And then we're heading into new stuff as well?
Yes, some new content.
I'm so excited.
Very cool new content.
We did have so many people after last year's Goals and Intention workshop say, oh my gosh, you have to do that again. You have to do it. I want to go to it. And so here we are doing it again.
It is.
This weekend.
This weekend. Don't miss it. Make sure you call in, register with Sydney, 435-652-1202. And I'm confident Kate will be putting a sneak preview on our social media feeds. I'm confident. So we'll see how that goes. If I get too shy, I don't know.
And speaking of mindfulness and meditation, we're starting a new thing on Tuesday nights. Every Tuesday night at 7 p.m., we're doing a meditation hour. Zen time, if you will. And we're going to be going over lots of different ways to meditate, hopefully broaden your mindfulness practice or begin it. So join us. If you're here after 7:10, you're going to be locked out, because we don't want to get interrupted if we're all in the zone. So be here on time. Doors will lock at 7:10 and it'll be an hour experience. So
it'll be really great.
We've had tomorrow
a lot of, again, great feedback on the times that Kate has been doing it in her women's group, which again, we want to remind everybody that is Wednesday at 5:30. 5:30.
It goes from 5:30 to 7.
Let's jump into tonight's topic. Enough of all the housekeeping. So tonight, I wanted to spend some time talking about codependency and the importance in us understanding what codependency is, and then also some of the resources. So we're going to be talking about some of the resources and some of the groups that are out there that are available. One of the things that is out there right now is the CODA group.
Yes.
And CODA, it's really a powerful group. It's for CoDependency Anonymous, essentially. And I love it. I love CODA. There's a group coming this Friday. It will be Friday at the 10th at 7 p.m. at the Alano Club. Now, I know that conflicts with our workshop as well. However, if you're like, well, how do I choose? We're also going to be doing CODA group here every Wednesday at noon.
Monday at noon.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Apparently, I am like,
it is okay. I'm here to keep you on track.
So much information.
I know.
But it will be at noon every Wednesday.
Monday. Every single Monday. And it's a week from today is the first one that we'll be having it here at TurningLeaf Health and Wellness at noon on Monday. On Monday.
Ignore the Wednesday thing. Anyway, so codependency. And one of the things that I really loved, Laurie McBride, who is going to be writing the one here at TurningLeaf, she really gave me a really great tool. She said, codependency is anything that we use outside of us to make us feel better.
Ooh, you're gonna have to say that again.
Right? And I thought, wow, that's really a great definition out there. So she said, codependency is anything that we use outside of us to make us feel better creates a codependent relationship.
I love that, because whenever you think of codependency, I only think of people.
Right.
Right? Like, believe me, I have had my fair share of codependent relationships, right? Just getting better all the time.
Getting better.
But I love that that's anything outside of ourselves.
Anything. So I can become codependent upon, obviously, social media, because what we look at when we look at codependency, we're looking at both parties getting something out of it.
Okay.
Right? So that's why it's a codependency. So if social media is codependent, then why? Why would that be codependent? Well, obviously.
Yeah.
They need somebody to watch. They need somebody to entertain them. And you want people to like your content and to give you feedback and tell you that you're okay. So we create a codependency on social media.
I love it. Well, I mean, that's not awesome, but I love that broadening of my horizon.
Yes. And then we do have the codependency of relationships, where a mother swooping in, this is a very common one, a mother swooping in to save their child from discomfort at school. They're having conflict with the school teacher. So the parent swoops in, the mother gets to open up, and she's superwoman and gets to swoop in. The child gets to feel rescued. The child gets to feel what they perceive as love because mom's fixing the issue. And the mom gets to feel, okay, well, I'm a good mother because I did. And so we get into that very, very sticky, oftentimes unhealthy codependent relationship.
Absolutely.
And then it continues on from there. So
I'm just thinking I probably have a pretty unhealthy codependent relationship with Amazon that I need to take a look at.
I can understand that. That could definitely be a codependency. Amazon needs you to buy their stuff, and you need to shop to feel better.
Right.
So yes. So that could.
I just thought it was an unhealthy coping skill, and now I've learned that I'm codependent upon it.
Well, and codependency is an unhealthy coping skill. So yes, it's both.
Back to CODA.
Back to CODA. So that's why the group is so important. We get to go in there. CODA is really based upon a 12-step program. Some people are not real codependent or 12-step savvy, or maybe they're not a big fan of it. That's okay. CODA is really able to deal with all of those things, but it is going to be more 12-step based, but it's really worth going to. The other thing that's important for us to understand is, how do I know if I'm getting into codependency, right?
Right. Like, what are some warning signs, some red flags, some...
Right.
Like, oh, geez.
And one of the ways, especially in relationships, now if we're getting past the the other codependencies that we've talked about. So we've been talking about codependency on the internet, on social media, codependency on Amazon, which I think that's great.
I mean, awareness is the first step, right?
Acceptance. That's right.
But do we have to become aware?
Yeah, you got to become aware and
in order to accept.
All right.
All right.
I default to that.
Winning.
I'll bow to that. But then in relationships, what is interesting is we start out in an enabling behavior. And that's how it really starts to flow. We really start out in an enabling behavior. And enabling is one of those ways where both people get their needs met. Right. Both people get fed, but they're not getting their needs met in a healthy way. So well, let's talk about what enabling is, right?
Yes. And I love the definition that I learned from you, actually, when I first barely started coming to Turning Leaf way back in the day with the family support group, right? But enabling is when you do something for someone else that they can do for themselves, right? Yeah, when they're more than capable. More than capable.
Yes, more than capable of doing for themselves. And there is healthy enabling, right. And that's where, some people are like, well, God, that's a lot of things. But there is a such thing as healthy enabling. Healthy enabling is if I buy my daughter flowers, right? I can buy my daughter flowers. It's something that she's more than capable of doing for herself. But what healthy enabling does is it gives our relationship the ability to flow and grow, right? So the more that I am doing things that move the relationship forward and both people forward, that's healthy enabling.
So like healthy service.
It could be a healthy service, absolutely. Right. But when I'm if I'm cutting my daughter's meat and she's 16 and I'm cutting her, French toast for her and doing things and doing her laundry at 15 years of age. And I'm not talking the occasional, let me throw a load in there. I'm talking about I do everybody's. That's really gets into the enabling side of things. And so we have a lot, oh my gosh, we have so many excuses for why we enable.
Oh, yes. Oh, well, because we need to justify it, right? We got to make sure that we still feel okay about it.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that's where we've got to become aware. Am I enabling? What is that looking like? Am I enabling and how is that showing up? How am I enabling? What does it look like for me? And once we start to recognize, okay, if I'm doing something for someone that they are more than capable of doing for themselves, then I'm enabling.
Right.
Okay. So now I need to just start looking at the things that I'm doing. And then I ask myself the simple question is this healthy or is it unhealthy?
Right.
Am I moving both of us forward? Am I only moving me forward or them forward?
Or nobody forward.
And keeping things stuck.
Absolutely. And I think that piece helps us understand whether or not that, I love that, I'm sorry, I'm stumbling a little bit.
Because that's okay. That was me a few minutes ago, right?
It further clarified how to decipher between if this is healthy or if it's unhealthy. If it moves you both forward, healthy. If only one person moves forward, unhealthy. And if you both do not progress at all, super duper unhealthy.
Super duper unhealthy. And so we see that, and that's why it is so important that we become aware of it. Once we become aware of it, that's when we start to either get help. We start attending a group like CODA. We start reaching out and reading books or learning and opening ourselves up. One of my favorite books out there is called Co-Dependency No More by Melody Beatty. And then she's written another one, Beyond Codependency. Really good stuff. Melody Beatty is probably one of the better ones I've ever read. And she's very direct. And if you're reading it, you're like, wow, okay. But it is important for us to become aware of where we are codependent, even in the non-relationship, like non-human relationship ways, because that codependency is one of the things that we use to avoid feeling uncomfortable. We use to avoid feeling sad or something along those lines. And that's where we need to heal.
Yeah. I remember too, in one of our coaching sessions, like over a year ago, I was sort of kind of seeing this guy, if you can remember at the time, and we basically had a super enabling relationship where I would just enable him all the time. And I think what really helped me kind of see it clearly was you and I were having a discussion where you said, well, why did you do that, Kate? Like this enabling thing that I did, right? Like this act of service or whatever. And I said, well, I wanted to be kind. I didn't want to be mean, right? Like, I think I went and gave him a ride somewhere or something like that. I can't remember. But you were like, oh, you like really challenged me on that. And you said, I would actually suggest that that was being cruel. Like by me stepping in and not allowing him to figure his own way out, you know, like all of those kinds of things, right? To be able to become more resilient.
Right.
Then, which is super fascinating because we do it. Once again, we talk about this all the time. It typically comes from a place of love. Like we don't create enabling and codependent relationships usually from like a malicious place, right? It comes from wanting to be connected, wanting to feel valued, wanting to be important in someone else's life and have them be important in yours. And then all of a sudden, there's this web of codependency and enabling that's happened. And so to be able to step back and look and say, oh, wow, it's actually really unhealthy or cruel, as you put it to me, right? For me to step in and do this thing for my loved one when they can do it for themselves.
Absolutely. And I like that you brought that up. And of course I can confirm nor deny that conversation. But confidentially speaking,
I'm the only one that can confirm or deny.
But the cruelty part comes in something I learned, you know, as a kid. When I was younger, my father, he felt like it would help me because anybody that knew me when I was young, and those of you watching from Facebook that have known me since, you know, Adam, know that I was a bit of a rebel teen. Mm-hmm. And so as a young man, my father was trying to give me some responsibility. And so we built a chicken coop and a pigeon coop. And so I kind of raised chickens and pigeons for a minute. It was kind of cool.
That's way cool.
But I remember when we were hatching the chicks and when the chicks started pecking their way out of the shell, my first instinct, I mean, like, I'm a kid. I mean, the first instinct is to go ahead and help peel that shell back and let's get that little guy out there and let's see him all, you know, first they come out all slimy and
let's
gross.
See slimy.
And then you got to get them to fluff up, you know. But I remember as my father stopped me and he's like, no, bud, you've got to let them come out. You've got to let them break through the shell on their own because the energy that they use to fight the adversity of breaking through that shell, of pecking through that shell, is what strengthens the neck. If you don't do it, they won't be able to hold their heads up, and you'll create all sorts of deformities in the chick. And that was a really powerful lesson to me, but it relates to enabling.
Absolutely.
Because if I had peeled that shell off that chick, that would have been cruel. It wouldn't have been helpful. It would be cruel to the animal. And I think sometimes as parents and as loved ones and as husbands and wives and brothers and sisters and all of the things that we are to people, oftentimes we want to peel that shell back. We want to make it less painful for them. Yeah. But here's the rub. It's not because we want necessarily them to be uncomfortable. It's that we don't want to be uncomfortable watching them suffer.
Absolutely.
So it's a very selfish act. When we enable, it's a very selfish act because we're doing it because we want to feel better or we don't want to watch oh God, that looks horrible. Let me fix it. But instead, we need to recognize that adversity that person is pushing through, that trial, that strength, that is something that they need to break them through to the next level or the next layer. And the more that we enable, the more we emotionally cripple. Now, I'm not saying just like write them off.
No.
Like, sorry, you're struggling. But
good luck with that. We'll see you when you're more resilient.
Good luck with that. But what I am saying is we need to be able to support them. We need to be able to stand next to them and go, okay, hey, you got this. I'm right here. I'm cheering you on. Just like with the little chick. I was there and I couldn't do anything until it broke through. Once it broke through, then I can go ahead and move in. And it's a really great metaphor for moving us forward.
Yeah. And that is the whole point of this group that we're talking about, right? Is to be able to learn about that, know what is healthy, what's unhealthy, when to help the chick, when not to. Like, all of these things are going to be a part of the growth and everything, the content and everything that comes with attending this cool support group, this codependency support group.
Well, and again, 20 minutes sure went fast.
Man.
So thank you everybody for tuning in, and thank you so much for your comments and liking and sharing our videos. As always, please make sure that you take these topics to the dinner table, take them to the work cafeteria, take them, on the car and truck rides, but open up the dialogues, help people understand, go back through the other episodes and really share the content, and let's really help people understand what's going on in the world.
I love it.
Again, a reminder, the CODA group.
Mondays at noon. But there is one, if you're in Southern Utah, this Friday at the Al-Anon Club at 7. It is a little conflicted with our goals and intentions workshop. So choose one. Go there, come here. We'd love to see you, whatever your needs are.
Whatever your needs are. And those of you that may not be local, please just Google CODA, CODA. Just Google it and find your local and the closest group for you.
Yep.
Thank you all, as always.
Have a wonderful week. We love you.
And we'll see you
next
Monday Night Live.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.